Your soulmate secretly met someone close to you. Here's what they talked about. My beloved child, don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting. Your soulmate recently met someone close to you, and what happened in that conversation was far more meaningful than anyone expected. Your name came up almost immediately, but your soulmate wasn't asking ordinary questions. They wanted to know something they had been carrying quietly inside. Whether you still think about them when no one is around. Don't skip, because the answer they received made them completely rethink the connection between you. The person close to you revealed that there are certain feelings you never fully expressed, certain moments you still remember, and one particular truth your soulmate never knew. The moment they heard it, their entire expression changed. Then the conversation became even more personal. Your soulmate finally asked, "Did I ever truly matter to them?" There was a short silence before the answer came, and that silence said almost as much as the words that followed. They were told that your connection affected you more deeply than you ever showed. Your soulmate suddenly realized that some of your distance may not have meant what they assumed it meant. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because this was the exact moment they began wondering whether they had misunderstood your heart all along. And then the person close to you mentioned one memory, something small on the surface, but powerful enough to make your soulmate realize that the bond between you may have never completely disappeared. But the biggest revelation came just before they left. The person close to you looked at your soulmate and asked, "If you knew there was still something unspoken between you, what would you do?" Your soulmate couldn't answer immediately. They had imagined this possibility before, but hearing it from someone close to you made everything feel different. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate walked away from that meeting knowing one thing they didn't know before. There may still be a chapter between you that was never truly closed. And after learning what you had quietly carried inside, they made a private decision. A decision involving you. A decision that could explain why their next move may feel completely unexpected. Something shifted inside your soulmate the moment they walked away from that meeting. They kept replaying one sentence they had heard about you, because it challenged everything they thought they understood. Don't skip, because this is where the conversation takes an unexpected turn. Your soulmate had entered that meeting hoping for clarity, but they left with an even bigger realization. Some of the moments they believed meant you had forgotten them may have meant the exact opposite. The person close to you had noticed something your soulmate never saw. Whenever their name appeared naturally in conversation, your energy changed. You became quieter. More thoughtful. As though an unfinished memory had suddenly returned. And when your soulmate heard this, they asked one question they had been holding back: then why did they never say anything? The answer surprised them. They were told that sometimes the deepest feelings are the hardest ones to explain, especially when someone doesn't know whether those feelings will be understood. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and that answer was only the beginning. Then came the detail your soulmate could not stop thinking about. The person close to you mentioned a specific moment from the past when you could have completely dismissed what happened between you, but you didn't. Instead, you remembered something tiny. A sentence. A look. A moment most people would have forgotten. Your soulmate immediately understood what that meant. People rarely hold on to small details unless those details carry emotional weight. Don't skip, because your soulmate suddenly started connecting pieces they had ignored before. Your silence. Their hesitation. The timing that never seemed right. The conversations that almost happened but somehow didn't. For the first time, they wondered whether the biggest obstacle between you was never a lack of feeling, but two people waiting for certainty from each other. And once that thought entered their mind, they couldn't let it go. They began thinking about what they would say if they ever had one completely honest moment with you. But what happened at the very end of that meeting changed everything again. Just before leaving, your soulmate was told something that made them stop for a second. There is one thing about you they never completely let go of. Your soulmate wanted to know exactly what that meant, but the person close to you didn't reveal everything. Instead, they gave one final clue. Something connected to a promise, memory, or feeling that still carries meaning. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate left knowing they now had a choice: remain silent and always wonder what could have happened, or finally do something different. And somewhere between that meeting and the moment they were alone again, they made their choice. But before making their next move, they decided to find out one final thing about you. And what they discovered next was even more surprising than the secret conversation itself. What your soulmate discovered next was the one thing they were never prepared to learn. After that private meeting, they started looking back at every unfinished moment between you differently. Suddenly, your silence didn't feel empty anymore. The distance didn't look like an ending. Even the smallest memories began carrying a completely different meaning. Don't skip, because this is where everything starts connecting. Your soulmate realized that there had been a moment when you were quietly waiting for something from them, a sign, a little certainty, something that would show you the connection mattered to them too. But that sign never arrived clearly enough. And when the person close to you finally explained this, your soulmate became unusually quiet. They understood that while they had been wondering whether you cared, you may have been wondering exactly the same thing. Two hearts could have been asking the same question while neither knew the answer. Then another revelation surfaced, and this one stayed in your soulmate's mind longer than anything else. The person close to you revealed that you once mentioned a memory involving your soulmate without even realizing how much emotion was hidden inside the way you described it. It wasn't some dramatic moment. That was exactly why it mattered. It was something small that should have disappeared with time, yet somehow you remembered it. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate immediately recognized the memory too. They remembered where they were, what was happening, and something they had noticed about you that day but never understood. Now it suddenly made sense. Your soulmate began wondering how many other signs had been sitting right in front of them while they were too uncertain to recognize them. And for the first time, the question inside them changed from, "Did this connection matter?" to, "What if it still matters?" But there was still one secret the person close to you had not fully revealed. Your soulmate sensed it immediately. Before the meeting ended, they asked one final question: "Is there something they wanted me to know but never said?" The response was not immediate. There was a pause, followed by words your soulmate would replay again and again. There was something they hoped you would understand without being told. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate left with those words echoing through their thoughts, trying to understand exactly what you had wanted them to see. Then, later, one forgotten moment suddenly returned to their memory, and everything clicked. They finally understood what that unspoken message might have been. But instead of bringing them peace, it pushed them toward a decision they had avoided for far too long. Because now your soulmate wasn't only thinking about you anymore. They were preparing to do something about it. Now the secret conversation reaches the moment your soulmate never expected. Once they understood what you may have been trying to express without words, they stopped viewing your connection as something that simply faded away. Don't skip, because the next realization changed their entire perspective. They remembered a moment when you could have walked away emotionally, yet something in the way you looked at them suggested there was still more beneath the surface. Back then, they dismissed it. Now, after hearing what the person close to you revealed, that memory felt completely different. Your soulmate finally understood that some endings are not really endings at all. They are unfinished conversations waiting for someone to become brave enough to continue them. And suddenly, they began asking themselves the question they had avoided for so long: what if I misunderstood everything? But there was another piece your soulmate needed before making their next move. They quietly asked the person close to you whether your heart had completely moved beyond what happened between you. The answer wasn't simple, and that made it even more powerful. They were told that you had grown, changed, and become stronger, but certain meaningful memories were never erased. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate realized they were not being given a guarantee, they were being shown something much more important. The possibility that what you shared had left a lasting mark on both of you. That possibility was enough to awaken something they had kept buried. Suddenly, all those words they never said began returning. Every almost conversation. Every moment they wished they had handled differently. Every time they wanted to reach toward you but stopped themselves. And now one question was becoming impossible to ignore. If they remained silent again, would they spend even more time wondering what could have happened? And then came the final detail from that meeting, the detail your soulmate carried home with them. The person close to you said, if you ever speak to them again, don't hide behind uncertainty. Say what you truly mean. Those words stayed with your soulmate because they knew exactly why they had been said. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate had spent too long trying to read signs, predict outcomes, and protect themselves from disappointment. But after this secret conversation, something changed. They no longer wanted another unfinished moment. They began imagining what they would say if they finally had your full attention again. And there is one sentence they keep returning to, a sentence they never had the courage to say before. What makes this even more surprising is that it isn't about the past. It is about what they still believe could happen next. And the truth behind that sentence is about to reveal what your soulmate has secretly wanted from you all along. Here is where your soulmate's hidden truth finally begins to surface. After everything they learned from that private conversation, one sentence kept forming in their mind: what if we were never supposed to leave things unfinished? Don't skip, because this thought changed what they wanted from you. They were no longer interested in simply understanding the past. They started imagining what could happen if both of you finally spoke without hiding behind silence or uncertainty. The person close to you had revealed enough to make them realize that your connection may have carried more meaning than either of you openly admitted. And suddenly, your soulmate remembered all the moments when they almost told you how deeply you affected them. The words were there. The feeling was there. But timing, hesitation, and unanswered questions kept getting in the way. Now those excuses no longer felt strong enough. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate has started thinking about one completely different possibility. Perhaps the conversation they truly need is not with someone close to you anymore. Perhaps it is with you. But before they could make that move, another surprising thought stopped them. Your soulmate wondered what you would actually do if they appeared with complete honesty. Would you listen? Would you recognize the feelings behind their words? Or would too much time have passed? Don't skip, because their answer to that uncertainty reveals everything. Instead of deciding to forget the connection, they began mentally preparing for the moment when they could finally tell you what they had kept inside. They imagined your reaction. They remembered your voice. They even replayed the exact moment when they first realized you were becoming more important to them than they expected. And this is where the secret meeting suddenly makes perfect sense. Your soulmate wasn't searching for gossip about you. They were searching for courage. They needed to know whether what they felt had ever been real on both sides. What they heard gave them something they hadn't felt in a long time, the possibility that they had not imagined the depth of this connection. And now comes the revelation that changes the entire story. The sentence your soulmate secretly wants to say is not complicated. It carries everything they could never express before. If there is still something between us, I don't want silence to decide what happens next. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. That is what the meeting awakened inside them. Not certainty about the future, but clarity about what they no longer want to leave unspoken. Your soulmate now understands that some connections become unforgettable because they reveal something about ourselves that no ordinary connection can. And after speaking with someone close to you, they realized you may have carried your own unspoken side of this story too. But there is still one final piece missing. Before your soulmate takes the step they have been considering, they want to know whether you would recognize the meaning behind it. And what they are thinking of doing next is so subtle that almost everyone could miss it, but you might understand immediately. Now comes the move your soulmate has been quietly thinking about ever since that secret meeting. It may not arrive as some enormous declaration. In fact, that is exactly why you could almost miss it. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you beneath one very simple action. Your soulmate has been considering a small opening. A familiar phrase, a meaningful question, or a reference to something only the two of you would truly understand. To everyone else, it could look ordinary. To you, it could instantly bring back a memory. And that is exactly what they want. They don't want to force the past into the present, they want to discover whether the connection can still feel natural when the door opens again. Ever since someone close to you revealed how much certain memories still mattered, your soulmate has wondered whether one small sign could finally say what countless unfinished conversations never managed to say. But there is something even deeper behind that possible move. Your soulmate isn't only wondering whether you remember them. They are wondering whether you remember who you became around each other. Don't skip. The person close to you made them realize that the most powerful part of your connection may never have been one particular conversation, it was the feeling underneath all of them. The comfort. The curiosity. The strange sense that there was always something more waiting to be understood. Your soulmate now sees certain moments differently because they finally know you may have been carrying questions of your own. And that realization has changed the sentence they would say if they had one completely honest moment with you. Instead of asking why everything happened the way it did, they would ask something far more important. If we could speak again without all the old uncertainty, what would you want me to know? Stay till the end, because that question could open the one part of this story neither of you ever finished. And here is the revelation your soulmate cannot ignore anymore. That private meeting was never really about another person entering your story. It was about someone close to you becoming the unexpected bridge that helped your soulmate understand what they had missed. Something huge is waiting for you, because they walked into that conversation searching for information and walked away questioning every assumption they had made about you. Now there is one final truth sitting heavily on their mind. Perhaps they spent too much time waiting for a perfect sign when the real answer could only come from speaking to you. Your soulmate knows there are no guarantees, but they also know silence cannot answer the question that has followed them for so long. And before they decide what happens next, one last memory from that secret conversation is returning to them, the exact moment the person close to you leaned forward and revealed something they had deliberately saved until the end. What they said may explain why your soulmate believes their next chapter with you could look completely different from the last one. And then your soulmate remembered the final words from that secret meeting, the words that had been saved until there was almost nothing left to say. The person close to you looked at them and revealed that there was one thing about your connection they had misunderstood from the beginning. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate had always believed that your silence meant you had stopped caring, but they were told that silence can sometimes come from uncertainty, from waiting to understand what the other person truly feels. That possibility hit your soulmate differently. Suddenly, they remembered the moments when you seemed ready to say something but changed the subject, the times your eyes carried more emotion than your words, and the strange pauses that neither of you knew how to fill. They realized they may have been reading those moments completely wrong. And for the first time, your soulmate stopped asking, "Why didn't they say anything?" and started asking, "Why didn't I?" What happened next inside them was even more surprising. Your soulmate began replaying the entire connection from your perspective instead of their own. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because this is where the biggest emotional shift begins. They imagined what their own hesitation may have looked like to you. Maybe you were waiting for reassurance while they were waiting for the same thing. Maybe both of you stepped backward because neither wanted to misunderstand what was happening. And suddenly, one particular memory returned with unbelievable clarity, a moment when you gave them an opening, something small but meaningful, and they didn't recognize it at the time. Now they do. That realization left them wondering how different everything might have been if they had responded differently. But instead of allowing that thought to keep them trapped in the past, your soulmate made a quiet promise to themselves. If another genuine opportunity appears, they will not automatically hide behind uncertainty again. Yet the strongest revelation was still waiting. Before your soulmate left that meeting, the person close to you had said one final sentence: "If you ever get the chance to speak again, listen carefully before you assume you already know what they feel. Those words became impossible to forget. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate finally understands that they do not need another person to tell them how your story ends. The only real answer could come from an honest conversation between the two of you. And now, instead of planning some perfect speech, they are thinking about something much simpler, creating one sincere moment where both of you can finally speak without guessing. But there is one thing your soulmate still hasn't revealed. Not to the person close to you, and possibly not even fully to themselves. During that secret meeting, they were asked what they missed most about you. Their answer came instantly. And what they said reveals the deepest reason they still cannot treat your connection like an ordinary memory. This is the answer your soulmate gave without needing even a second to think. When they were asked what they missed most about you, they didn't mention your appearance, a particular place, or even one unforgettable memory. They said they missed the way they felt when they could simply be themselves around you. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. That answer surprised even the person sitting across from them, because it revealed what your soulmate had been trying to hide beneath all those questions. They weren't only missing moments with you. They were missing a version of themselves that seemed to appear naturally whenever you were near. And suddenly, the secret meeting became much more emotional than either of them expected. Your soulmate admitted that certain people can leave your life while their presence slowly becomes just another memory, but somehow, you never became ordinary in their mind. There was always one unfinished feeling attached to your name, and now they finally understood why. Then the person close to you asked something that changed the atmosphere completely. If you miss that connection so much, why have you stayed silent? Your soulmate paused, because there was no easy answer. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because what they finally admitted explains everything. They were afraid that reaching toward you could disturb the meaning of what you once shared. They didn't know whether you remembered things the same way. They didn't know whether the door was still open. So instead of discovering the truth, they protected themselves with distance. But after this secret conversation, that distance began feeling heavier than the possibility of finally knowing. Don't skip. Your soulmate realized that uncertainty had already taken enough from the connection. If they remained silent forever, they might never discover whether the story truly ended or whether both of you simply stopped at the same unfinished page. And now everything comes down to one final decision. Your soulmate walked away from that meeting carrying no perfect prediction, no guaranteed outcome, only a truth they could no longer ignore. You mattered enough for them to ask about you when you weren't there, to remember details they thought time would erase, and to question whether silence had hidden something important from both of you. Something huge is waiting for you, because the real secret was never simply what they discussed with someone close to you. The real secret was what that conversation awakened inside your soulmate. They finally admitted to themselves that if life gives them one sincere opportunity to speak with you again, they don't want to waste it pretending the connection meant less than it did. And there is one sentence they are keeping quietly in their heart for that moment. I don't know where this conversation will lead, but I know I never wanted our silence to become our final answer. Whether that moment arrives exactly as they imagine or in a completely unexpected way, one thing has changed forever. Your soulmate can no longer look at your story the same way they did before. But there is one more detail your soulmate never told the person close to you, and this may be the most revealing piece of everything. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Long before that secret meeting happened, your soulmate had already experienced moments when your memory returned unexpectedly. A familiar phrase, a quiet evening, a place connected to the past, something small would suddenly bring you back into their thoughts. They tried to treat those moments as ordinary memories, but after hearing what was said about you, they could no longer ignore the pattern. Your soulmate realized they weren't only remembering what happened between you. They were wondering what could have happened if both of you had understood each other sooner. And that question became stronger after the meeting, because now they knew there may have been feelings and thoughts on your side that they never fully understood. Then something surprising happened. Instead of immediately making a move, your soulmate became quieter. Stay till the end, because this silence is not what it seems. They started thinking carefully about what they would actually want if another conversation with you became possible. They didn't want to return simply because of nostalgia. They wanted clarity. They wanted to know who you are now, what has changed inside you, and whether the connection could exist in the present instead of surviving only as a beautiful memory. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because this is where their thinking became completely different. They stopped asking whether they could recreate the past and started wondering whether something new could begin from the truth that was never spoken. And suddenly, the meeting with someone close to you wasn't just revealing old feelings, it was forcing your soulmate to imagine a future they had previously refused to consider. And now there is only one question they cannot answer without you. If the two of you were given one completely honest conversation, with no assumptions and no old misunderstandings standing between you, what truth would finally come out? Your soulmate has replayed that possibility more times than anyone knows. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have finally realized that the answer cannot be found through memories, guesses, or another secret conversation. It can only be discovered when two people stop interpreting silence and actually speak. And there is something your soulmate has decided they would do differently if that moment arrives. This time, they would listen before assuming, speak before withdrawing, and allow the truth to be what it is. But there is still one final revelation from that meeting that changes the meaning of everything you have heard so far. The person close to you knew something about your soulmate before they ever sat down together. And when your soulmate discovered exactly what it was, they finally understood why this meeting happened in the first place. And now the final truth behind that secret meeting comes into focus. The person close to you had already noticed something about your soulmate before the conversation ever began. Whenever your name appeared, they never reacted like someone hearing about an ordinary memory. Their attention changed. Their questions became more careful. Even when they tried to sound casual, there was something unfinished underneath every word. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. That person understood that your soulmate wasn't searching for information just to satisfy curiosity. They were trying to answer a question they had carried quietly for far too long. Did what we shared mean as much to them as it meant to me? And that is why the conversation went deeper than expected. Your soulmate finally admitted that the hardest part was never losing certainty, it was never having certainty in the first place. They had spent so much time interpreting your silence that they forgot you might have been interpreting theirs too. Then came the moment that brought every hidden piece together. The person close to you told your soulmate that sometimes two people can remember the same connection differently, and the only way to know the truth is to stop building answers from assumptions. Stay till the end, because this changed everything. Your soulmate suddenly understood that the meeting was never supposed to give them permission to enter your life or promise them a particular ending. It gave them something more meaningful. The courage to stop pretending they already knew your side of the story. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate left realizing that if another genuine moment between you ever appears, they want to meet it differently. No hidden tests. No trying to read every tiny sign. No expecting silence to explain what words never did. They want one real conversation where the past can finally be understood for what it was, and the present can be allowed to speak for itself. And this is the revelation your soulmate carried away from that meeting. The biggest secret wasn't something someone close to you told them about you. It was something your soulmate finally admitted about themselves. You mattered. The connection mattered. And pretending otherwise never truly erased that truth. Something huge has been waiting for you throughout this entire story, and it is this. Your soulmate now understands that an unfinished connection does not automatically promise another chapter, but it can reveal where honesty was missing. If your paths ever open naturally again, they know exactly what they want to do differently. They want to look at you without old assumptions, listen without trying to predict your answer, and finally say the words they once kept hidden. Whatever this connection means today, I want the truth to come from us, not from silence. And perhaps that was the real purpose of the secret meeting all along, not to decide your story for you, but to make your soulmate realize that some answers can only be found when two people finally stop guessing and start speaking.